Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to wave at any of these poor souls standing alongside or looking alongside. Hey, we got to take water on. We haven't taken water yet? Uh-oh.
The water's just filling up with water.
starting up into the trees now. Most of the trees down in this area are fairly young, no more than 300 or 400 years old. We have all these beautiful trees, all this beautiful forest, due to the fact this is one of 3 small areas in California, has never been timbered, has never been logged, has never been cut. The way you're looking at this forest is just the way Mother Nature left it. We don't cut anything. Anything you see that's down up here, Mother Nature has put down by lightning, by storm, or by disease. We don't cut anything. Also, going up and down the hill, periodically you're going to hear a screaming noise from the wheels of the train. I don't want you to think we forgot to grease the wheels. That's called harmonics. Harmonics set up between the steel wheels and the steel rails. Harmonics. Across the Indian Creek Trestle. Now this old trestle is 210 feet long. It's 42 feet high. It's the tightest radius or tightest curve trestle in North America. We don't recommend anybody leave the train while we're on the trestle. And that old song about throwing mama from the train doesn't apply here either. Those of you up in the front car, I'd like you to look off to both sides of the track, please. Back in 1968, we had a big old redwood tree fall down across the tracks up here. When people came up here to get rid of it for us, they started counting the rings. Lo and behold, that old tree was 1,140 years old. The piece of tree that was laying on the track weighed 5 tons. As we come off the trestle, it's up here laying on both sides of the track. The redwood experts also tell us that the rings in the redwood not only tell us how old it is, but the spacing of those rings will tell us how much rainfall or moisture we've had each year. As the train makes this turn to the right, we may slow down just a little more. The train is now pulling an 8.5% grade, 8.5%. That means for every 100 feet of forward progress, you're climbing 8.5 feet. To put that 8.5% into better perspective, when Caltrans builds you a big freeway in California here, they say no more than 6% for your automobiles. The big Amtrak diesels going across the Rockies, no more than 3%. We're climbing almost 3 times that. We're capable of this steep climb because of that big #1 green monster sitting in front up there is a Shea Sidewinder steam locomotive built in 1912 in Lima, Ohio. Originally a wood burner converted to coal. We've converted it to oil. We burn recycled oil. In fact, we burn 60 gallons of recycled oil, 600 gallons of water each trip up and down the mountain. To put your elevation into perspective, when you were standing at the depot, you were standing at about 210 feet of elevation. We get to the top of the mountain, you're going to be 660 feet high. That means the train has climbed about 450 feet in less than 3 miles. But you can tell by now, we're not a bullet train either. Our top speed's about 15 miles an hour, and that's downhill. locomotive and the rest of the train is going under two great big old redwood trees leaning right across the top of the tracks. Now, we kind of put those in the same category as the California earthquake. Not a thing you can do about it, so don't worry about them. Up there in the front car, I need your help, please. I'd like you in the front car to look off to your left, please. To your left, you're going to see a big old redwood tree laying at about a 40-degree angle there in the forest. Point it out when you see it. That way the rest of the train can get it. There we go. Now, back in 1982, after one of our big rainstorms, this big old fella says, well, I think I'm going to fall down. His neighbors grabbed hold of him and said, nah, not going to let you fall down. He said, well, all right, if you won't let me fall down, then I'm just going to continue to grow. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's in full growth. He's fully re-rooted. He even has small redwoods growing out of his base now. We call that Mother Nature being stubborn. Front car behind the locomotive. I'm going to ask for your help again. Back to the left of where you're going by right now is a grove of redwood trees. Sitting back in that grove is a tree looks like it's been hit with a shotgun. It's just got millions of holes all up and down the bark. Sitting back in that grove, when you see it, point it out so the rest of the train can pick it up. There we go. Now that old tree is courtesy of the California acorn woodpecker. He flies down, gets an acorn, flies up, stuffs it in one of the holes of that tree, goes away for about a year. When he comes back, each one of those holes has a big, fat worm in it. Now he's got smorgasbord all up and down that tree. We wind up not only with fat worms, we wind up with fat woodpeckers. Also, lazy woodpeckers, they make a new hole each year. They will take their acorn and get up on that tree and search until they find a hole that fits the acorn they've got. As we turn this corner to the right, the redwood tree is not the only tree we have here in the forest. As the train gets straightened out, you're going to see him drive right in between two large trees, one on either side of the track. The tree on the right is about a 300 or 400-year-old redwood tree. The tree on the left is a fully grown, age unknown Douglas fir. Now the redwood on the right we don't use for major construction. We use it for hot tubs, wine baths, outside decks, walks, rails, almost impervious to weather. Here he goes right in between the two of them. However, that big old Douglas fir standing on the left-hand side, that's one of the primary construction lumbers in California. Just as a note of interest for your information, that one Douglas fir tree would build you a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home from the foundation up. One tree, one house.
That tree right there. A lot of clay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up to an area we call Spring Canyon. You can't see it too well now. You'll see it better when we get up into the switchback. Overhead on both sides, you're going to see the remains of a 360-degree trestle, which used to take us round and around to the top of the mountain. Unfortunately, back in 1976, somebody set the trestle on fire and burned it. So today we use what we call a switchback. The train will pull into the switchback. I'll get off and throw a switch behind the train. We're going to back up for about a quarter of a mile. Then we'll throw a switch in front of the train, pick up another set of tracks, and go to the top of the mountain. To answer one of your obvious questions about the trestle, the burning of the trestle was a professional arson fire. They never caught who did it. the switchback, waiting for one of the crew to get off up front, throw a switch so we can go onto the mountain. When the people came in and built this switchback and made this big cut in this sandstone bank on the right-hand side, they got a couple of surprises. They found shark's teeth, fossilized fish, further proof that this whole area was underwater at one time. So we're not the original California coastline. We may well have been just a fishing hole for the old Zayante Indian. Also, Roaring Camp. People walk up and look at the sign and say, what kind of a name is that for a railroad? Back in 1880, where the depot sits now, was a saloon and dance hall. Between the loggers from Boulder Creek and the sailors from Santa Cruz, it got a reputation of being Saturday night's Roaring Camp. It's been Roaring Camp since 1880. I forgot to tell you coming up, you're going to hear that locomotive whistle periodically just for your information. 1 is stop, 2 is forward, 3 is reverse, 4 he wants to talk to me, and a lot of times it's just the engineer showing off. Riverside Junction, west side. When we get up here to the junction, you're going to see the train take off on a set of tracks to the left. There's also going to be a set of tracks on the right-hand side. In about 20 or 25 minutes, we'll be coming back down that set of tracks on the right after we've made a big loop up around Bear Mountain. We're coming up to an area we call Cathedral Grove. We have a grove of trees up here we're rather proud of. The train is going to come to a stop. Please wait till it comes to a complete stop. Exit the train to your left. Exit the train to your left. Join me down in the grove. I'll tell you a little bit more about the trees, the area, the Indians. The train is going to be stopped for maybe 12 minutes. We promise not to go off without you. We do have two favors to ask, please. Please stay inside the grove. The grove is sprayed. Also, when you come back to the train, please come back to the seats you're occupying now. We're 100% loaded. We don't want to create confusion of somebody being in somebody else's seat. So please come back to the seat you're occupying now. Thank you.